What's up, Blueprint family? How y'all doing tonight? Thank you all for joining us.
Wow.
Tonight
That's like
is
a minute.
it's been a minute. It's been a while. Thank you all for being patient. I see we got our subscribers and our viewers up. Thank you all um, for giving us support as we give you all valuable information that we wish we had when we were younger. So tonight we're going to talk about generational wealth.
Yeah, that's a big one. And it's a super big conversation to have because what better reason or motivation to work than to leave all your efforts behind so that others can benefit from them? And in particular, your family. That generational legacy is really important and it's really binds you to feeling good about what you're leaving behind, not just for yourself, but for other people too. In modern society, people, they value hard work, right? But what about creating relationships that actually benefit from the hard work that you have done throughout your own lifetime? And if we forget how important that generational wealth and establishing those relationships and those connections that go on throughout time, then hey, it's really individual success focused. It's not so much, broader humanity focus, life, spreading love and joy to everybody through our works and what we do. Yeah. So we have actually put up some statistics that we are going to go over just to really show how generational wealth is being built throughout different communities. So you're talking about the Asians, the Blacks, all Americans, of course, but Latinos, and how the disparities between those different communities are taking place. But yet still, all throughout our time on Earth, it's always that people value coming together as a family and building generational wealth. So yeah, what better way to leave our mark on the world than to build a legacy that our children and our grandchildren can be proud of? So, yeah.
And of course, getting married greatly contributes to generational wealth. It accumulates, our accumulation of success and wealth is transmitted through our generations. So you have to understand that, we talked about retirement. And, one of the best ways to position yourself for retirement is so that you don't have to work a part-time job from when you're 65 to 95. Because that, believe it or not, that is an aspect of retirement in today's society. So no longer is it okay. Well, no longer will a retirement plan and also a savings for the average American will satisfy or supplement your retirement needs. It's also a fact, not a fact, but you have to also factor in a part-time job.
Yeah, I think statistically now they said you needed like what 2.5 million
right
to retire on.
Yeah, and that's that's pretty much one person.
Mm-hmm.
You need at least from the age of 65 to 95, you need at least $2.5 million in order to retire comfortably. So
for the average person, that is a lot of money, because if you think about even just putting aside like $400 a month or $500 a month, in no way is that going to equate 2.5 million.
Right, precisely. Yeah. So what are you doing to prepare yourself for retirement?
Yeah, it just shows building together is definitely a more economical way of doing life, sustainable.
Right.
And not to mention, it sets up actually being able to transmute success and wealth from future generations passed down, because you can't actually have, and that goes right into our title, you can't have generational wealth without that functioning family network. And that's something that I'm excited to get into, because we actually came up with a little example network of what that really looks like.
Right. So like my wife said earlier, we're going to get into some statistics. But a lot of us come from dysfunctional family networks. So it can be hard to even know what a functioning family network should look like.
Yeah.
So instead, people get used to the mindset of being selfish for survival needs. Yeah. So, but the reality is that we are better building together, like my wife said. So,
yeah. Yep.
So the whole point is to have a viable business, family business.
family network and structure, because
Right.
it will go and vary as you go throughout life, of course, but on a structure basis, pretty much of what will be. Let me zoom in. I'm trying to zoom in good so you guys can really see. It's pretty simple, but at the same time, this structure really helps provide the structure that's needed to pass down generational wealth. Because for what else are you working hard if you're not going to leave anything for anybody else? If you don't have anybody else who can pick up all that you've done and keep it going. Like it just, if not, then it just dies with you. And that's unfortunate, unless you leave it to like your dog or your cat. And then still, it still dies with you.
Well, yeah, and then also too for those people out there who are not sold on family, how else are you going to support yourself through retirement? Like, are you yourself going to create a business, a multi-million dollar business of your own, or would you rather have the support of your family and extended family, and children and wife or husband to be there to help you build this business?
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. And then not even from a just not only just from a wealth standpoint about like who is financially going to take care of you, but also physically. If you fall ill, if you have something go opposite from what you would actually desire from your life. It happens sometimes, but hey, like if that happens, who's going to take care of you? And that's the beauty of having a family and that support system of getting married and actually having someone. And of course, people say, marriage is more than the certificate. And it very much is more than the certificate. The getting married and signing the paperwork, sure, is a huge part of the legal process of it. But in reality, that legal process is super important even after death because, hey, if you pass on, when you pass on, who's going to help manage all of that? And being married provides that structure that if you don't have a living will, or if you're not, of course, if you're long-term partners, then you would hope that you have at least a living will to where you're leaving your spouse something. But, we talk about that a lot, anyway. But just being married provides that ease of the whole process because you gotta do some type of legalities when it comes to life in general. Who's gonna file your last income taxes? That's stuff people don't think about, like, and that has to be done. I didn't think about that until having my mother pass away, like all the things that has to be done when somebody makes that transition. And it's nice when you have a family, a support system that's, not just your mama, because, mama and daddy may not always be around too, but actually your own connection and network that you have established in which that you can keep all the fruits of your labor going and benefiting the rest of your family.
Right. And then, to also tie in what success means according to science as far as humans. What I've learned in biology, being a bio major in college, was the fact that human success means that you have viable offspring. So basically children who are able to reproduce. So you want to make that as easy as possible for them in the case of family business. So what better way to set your children up, your grandchildren up, than to have a family business of your own?
Yeah.
There's multiple benefits of having a family business.
Mhm.
And like my wife, she stated a few. But like I said, think down the road, down the future of your grandchildren and your children themselves. So that's a big part of what we're lacking in today's time, in today's society, is family businesses of our own. Now you may say that, oh well, as far as the black community, there were multiple black businesses in the past that were taken from us.
Mhm.
But we're no longer living in the past. There are things that we can do today in order to set up your family for the future, and we're going to show you some of these things and what it looks like.
Yeah, what you had just said made me think of the fact that people are in society now working longer and harder and more than ever, but yet aren't creating those relationships that are really going to benefit from that, all that work that you've put in. Like, that's super, like, why else? Like, do you do all of that?
What relationships do you speak of?
Well, family, having family and building, cultivating those relationships and having kids. And because just in general, being married and having children and a solid family, unfortunately, it's not that many statistics going speaking towards people not having kids as much as they aren't getting married. So it's a lot of out of wedlock child, birthing being going on. And that's quite unfortunate because it doesn't set the future generation up for a better advantage in life, which we're going to go, over some more. But in particular, here is just a simple family network and how you can see how it would be set up within a family.
And this is traditional.
Yeah, traditionally. So you have your husband, who is the CEO. He is the head. He runs the whole network. And then you have the wife, who is the manager, managing all the different operations within the network. And then you have the children, who are the employees. They'll find their own beautiful roles within the network. And then you also have your extended family. They play different roles as well, whether it's the support, they can be advisors, they can be employees as well. It's so many different roles that extended family can play in as well, especially if each family is doing different things. Like, so say, for example, one family is really big in accounting, and another part of that same family, but extended family, is really big in, I don't know, construction. And another side is really big in something else, real estate. All of those can connect within each other. And it keeps the network of money flowing throughout the family. That's super big when it comes to understanding how families and cultures all around the world are able to really sustain their wealth throughout time. They really do keep it within the family and create little networks, little, hub spots of everybody tapping into each other and working together. That's super valuable. And actually, we're going to go over a few statistics of how generational wealth plays out throughout the demographics. But in general, I'm going to close that out. Generational wealth, definitional wise, is the accumulation of assets that are passed down, obviously, from one generation to the next. So it can include things like cash, investments, property, businesses, real estate. Generational wealth, though, can also be knowledge. And that is a huge, huge thing, I think, is most important when I think about, as a person works hard and gains so much success, the knowledge and that they have to take on in order to become that person or reach that level of success, that's valuable information that's great to pass on to the next generation. For what else are you gaining all of this if not to help teach those coming up after you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got anything? I feel like I'm just
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, so as I was saying, wealth is not just about money. It's really about assets and opportunities and the knowledge. So when families can actually pass down that wealth of knowledge on like things like how to manage money, how to invest, how to build successful businesses, even especially how to have successful relationships, this knowledge is very valuable to the future generations. In fact, it's invaluable in helping them create their own way and not have to like struggle like we all had to before the generational wealth was there.
All right. So there are many different types of knowledge that can be passed down through generations. Talk about financial literacy, knowing how to invest, not only saving. So if you remember civics and economics in school, what did they tell you and teach you is that you save your money. But if the problem with saving money is the fact that it goes right out the door, what about investing? Starting off something as simple as turning your money into gold and silver and then eventually you can make that a small business as well. There's trading metals, trading commodities, trading products, selling products. So you turning your money into something that actually has value as opposed to just having and saving money. Another form of knowledge is business acumen. This is the knowledge of how to start and run a successful business.
Yeah.
So teaching your children how to be entrepreneurs. We all think of the lemonade stand. Okay, so once you start selling lemonade, what else are you going to sell? Snacks and candy and all this other things that go along with that. So that what you're doing is you build business acumen, and then you can graduate. You learn about um, creating work orders, creating scopes of work, turning that into a purchase order, turning that into an invoice,
Yeah.
paying your bills, and then also to um, having a of course, paying your bills, accounts payable, stuff like that. That's the end of the business line, and then doing your accounting.
Yeah.
That's business acumen. All of that, understanding contracts and understanding terms and conditions, things like that.
Yeah, if I may, really quick, that's super important for this entrepreneur spirit that a lot of single people have.
Right.
That is valuable information, and all the more reason to get with another and mate and pass this information down for the next generations. Because why else? Again, we said this so much so far, but why else accumulate all this great knowledge if you're not going to teach your next generation and pass it down and keep it going so that they can really reap the benefits of that? That's super important.
Business acumen is very important upon itself because what it does, it helps you to build clients. That's something that a lot of, I guess, people in the Black community struggle with.
Yeah.
Because having a business goes beyond just selling a good or a service.
Yeah. Network.
Well, I mean, it's not only networking too, but it's also how well you're good at business acumen.
Yeah.
How well you're able to prove, provide your clients with contracts.
Yeah.
Contracts that are win-wins for everyone. So say for instance that I said that I'm going to rent you out my house.
Right.
Normally what people do is we shake hands on it.
Yeah.
In the Black community,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna rent your house, you're gonna have to pay me rent. And then all of a sudden you're getting mad now because your cousin, cousin Pookie ain't paying you rent. And then you can't financially hold him responsible for that because you don't even have anything in writing to show and prove that this is the situation. And then are you doing your taxes? You can't call you can't bring this type of thing into court because you yourself are going to be liable for not paying taxes.
Right.
On money that you're giving out for a situation where you have a cousin renting out a living dwelling of yours. So that's what I mean about business acumen. Are you all responsible businessmen and women, and you all are keeping your clients happy when conducting business, and understanding it's not about gaining over someone else, but it's also to making sure that your clients are happy with the product or service that you're providing. That's business acumen, making sure that you are contractually liable for something and you deliver the promise of a good service or goods that you provide. That's good business acumen. Understanding how to track that stuff in accounting, that's good business acumen. That's the part, that's a big part. Couple that with financial literacy, that if you want to talk about the Black community, that we're missing. And then also, but we're slowly learning these things, but a lot of us are not teaching each other.
Yeah, especially the households in particular. That's what I keep saying it, and I'm probably going to say it 1,000 more times this video, but the households teaching that. We're missing that. Our Black communities, Latin American communities, maybe so, are having those conversations more than we are because they are actually having businesses, and they have to have that dialogue. A white Caucasian families, they're probably having those conversations more because they also have more businesses. So but if I look around, it's a lot of single Black people with businesses that,
right. And they don't always incorporate their children. You see, and then the advantage that families who own businesses have is that they can get their children started in it very young. And what they do is they see all the behind the scenes stuff and they learn and they're taught, okay, after we sell this pallet of widgets. Next, we get our money in, and then we give the vendor a bill. I mean, we give the client a bill, and they pay it later within 30 days. Stuff like that. That we're talking about business detail. That stuff is important when
Yeah.
you run a business or trying to start up an entrepreneurship or trying to keep it in your family as a family business so that you all can support each other in the roles of this family business.
Mhm.
That goes a long way. It really does. Instead of hiring people that you don't know anything about, and that's okay though. You hiring people or what have you, but it will be even more beneficial if you can hire your kids, your children, your wife,
Mhm.
your uncle, aunt, and then they also understand business and how to support you as well doing
Yeah.
this. Now, I understand that it's not always the ideal thing to hire extended family because they won't appreciate this business as much as you do, especially if you've created it.
But some can. I
Right.
will challenge
Oh
that,
yeah.
especially the ones that are, committed to the family and it's gone past generation. You're talking about generation
Yeah,
after
but that's
generation
different
after
though.
generation. Yeah.
Right. That's different than a lot of people now these days just starting up a startup
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
stay in
Right.
the
Yeah.
startup phase for so long.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
That's true.
that's because of the lack of the business acumen, not no
Mm-hmm.
marketing, at all
Yeah.
for anything or
Mm-hmm.
what have you.
Yep.
And so yeah, that is very important. Try to hone up on what business really is aside from entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can start a business, but what do you all know how to run that business and what it takes administratively in order to keep that business legit?
Yeah. And I would even say, I don't know if you mentioned it, but managing debt, especially like now in times,
Well, that's
just
financial literacy.
oh yeah, 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 yep. With that in particular, when I think about just within our community, like managing debt, and especially now, like modern times, that needs to be talked about more than ever. Because I think when I was growing up, this is the '90s, telling my age a little bit, but like it was more of like you focused on not so much getting into debt. Oh, you take on all this college debt, and you don't really think so much about like the impacts of that later on. But I think now more than ever, with the coming to light of like, how expensive college is and how, is it really worth it in the end? Are the jobs as lucrative as they, advertise it to be by the time you've gotten your degree and whatnot? Does it weigh up? That's a super important conversation to have, because if you can teach your children how to avoid debt, and then like if they do, how to have good debt, how to use that like credit cards and stuff to invest in businesses, not just shopping and buying stuff, but actually investing that money, somebody else's money, into you in a business. They're quick to give out a credit card, in the mail when your child turns 18, already have them understanding like, hey, you could use this money to make money, not just spend it. That's super big. And I think if our community focused more on valuing teaching those things to our generations and actually setting up a good family structure for us all to thrive in, we would really benefit as a community. So, but anyways, we're going to get into more some statistics as that and how that looks throughout other communities. But let's keep going with some other generational wealth things you can pass along to your kids.
So networking skills.
Mm-hmm.
So building relationships. That's your client business relationship. Keeping those
Yeah.
clients happy. So understanding that that is the goal when you build a family business to make sure that your clients are happy.
Yeah.
Also life skills.
Mm-hmm.
You teach your children how to be responsible as far as money goes, to have give them that knowledge to also have a successful life and successful relationships and the importance of having a family, because you want to pass this business down and hope that your great grandchildren can also uh, enjoy it, enjoy the benefit of it.
Yeah, and the wealth isn't just in within the business, but the knowledge.
Right.
That's super, super
Yeah.
important, because even if the business may not be something that y'all do, just that simple planting of seeds of knowledge generationally, continuously, will really benefit the whole family as a structure over time. Yeah. when families in general pass down any types of knowledge to their children, they really give them a great head start on life. So that's just something we even have to recognize when we think about how we grew up. Were we afforded the opportunities that we could have had we been in a good family structure? And that's so important to think of, because our modern society loves to work hard and loves to get the bag and get all this money, but who's going to benefit really from that when you're gone? Because at the end of the day, that bag isn't going to go with you, and it'll also be dropped right here if you don't actually take the time to sustain a good family and sustain a good relationship that will really carry on throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had a trickle in my throat.
Want some water?
Okay.
All right. So some examples of how generational wealth can be passed down is knowledge. A family may provide their children with financial support, so giving them the opportunity to start their own businesses or invest in their own futures.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think we already talked about that. The thing moved. Yeah.
So generational wealth can be a powerful tool for creating opportunities and prosperities.
Mm-hmm.
So when families pass this wealth down, they can um, they're giving their children the knowledge and skills that they need in order to be successful in life.
Yeah.
So this will allow them to skip the or poverty cycle and create a more just and equitable society around them.
Yeah. Yep. So sorry about that. The mouse, I think, moved while I was. I threw you off a little bit. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, the most recent data on the median household wealth between white, Black, Latino, and Asian households. This comes from the 2020 survey of consumer finances. I hadn't quite found any more recent on. We're talking not just incomes, but the actual wealth of like what the households are sustaining and passing on. So, anyways, for the median household for white households was about 188,200, while the median household wealth for Black households was $24,100. For Latino households was $36,100, and for Asian households that was $206,400.
So this means that Caucasian households have a median wealth that is 8 times greater than Black households, 5 times greater than Latino households, and 1 time as great as Asian households. These are no, the Asian
The Asian
households
household,
have
yeah.
1 time greater
Yeah.
than the Caucasian households.
Yeah.
And of course, there are multiple factors that contribute to this.
Yeah. Right.
And that includes family income, your education, home ownership rates, and then also Caucasian households have higher incomes on average than Black and Latino households. They're also more likely to have college degrees. Um, and these disparities in wealth have a number of consequences, including lower standards of living, which the Black and the Latino cultures also live in, and then greater risk of financial insecurity and fewer opportunities includes upward mobility. And the thing is that in this society today, to be honest with you, there's this is broad all over.
Mm-hmm.
So not just Latino or Black people,
Right.
More and more Caucasian people are also going through financial hardship. If you look at it statistically, probably single Black women are gaining wealth. They are increasing their salaries and gaining wealth. And if you look at it, more and more Black families are actually buying up um, a lot of old Caucasian plantations and things that their ancestors used to work on those farms, but they buying that as a family project as a whole. So so the Black families are not the average Black family, but Black people are gaining wealth
Mm-hmm.
in different ways, but not more so passing it down. to
Yeah.
anybody.
Right.
Like like in the past, like
Right.
great grandma, and of whatever they had, passing it down in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, as I go on, getting married and creating generational wealth can provide a number of benefits,
Mm-hmm.
and that include financial security. Generational wealth can provide a financial cushion that can help families weather difficult times,
Mm-hmm.
because the statistic says that the average family in the United States are basically one emergency away from being bankrupt or being evicted from their homes. So having a family business is basically a shield, a money shield that will help prevent situations that like those. So also it provides opportunity. Generational wealth can provide families with opportunities that they would not otherwise have.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you could use, if it, I'm sorry, it can be used to send children to a good school,
Mm-hmm.
start a business, or invest in real estate.
Yep.
So, you wanna go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I was also thinking when you talk about the opportunities that it affords, when you actually do set up future generational wealth, then maybe a new idea that, the new generation thinks about. Because that's the cool thing about the next generation is that their mindsets are sometimes often different and further along as far as being innovative with like technology or like what's the wave or the next popular thing to invest in, like the next generation has more of a understanding or grasp of that societal concept in a way more so than the older generation would. So it affords really that opportunity to where, okay, if you have the money available, then your nephew or your cousin or we're talking about responsibly made, hopefully your children, but you are able to invest in that and a responsible manner that can hopefully increase the generational wealth as time goes on. So it just gives you the leeway, the opportunity to even be able to do so. And that's something that I think a lot of families miss out on is that, the younger generation can provide an opportunity to boost along the wealth of one. It makes me think of a story that you had told me about, like the guy he had he went out, he was younger and he went out fishing and he made more money fishing as a
Mhm.
young boy than his parents did whatever jobs they were doing. In a time like that, I think it's really important for a family to be able to recognize an opportunity, or if you have the opportunity available to invest, that would have been a great time for the parents to then be able to invest in the child if the parents had been able to, establish being able to create generational wealth. And that's also too, I digress slightly, but that's also easier to do when you're married because it's two incomes coming together. So you have or whatever, one big income or whatever. It's just making sure that as two people, man and a woman coming together, you're able to then invest in your children and that, and then they can take that and grow it. So that's really what passing that money throughout the network is all about. And that's why I think the opportunities are important and cool. That's a cool benefit.
All right.
Another one, a sense of security and stability. So, of course, generational wealth gives you that security because you have already had some work done for you to give you a little, leeway and a little ability to breathe in a way. Because, hey, you can be confident in your future because hey, your parents may have set it up for you, or when you as a person are able to set that up for your children and your grandchildren, that provides a great peace of mind and stability for them. And that's an awesome thing to really work towards being able to do. Yeah.
Yep. Increased social mobility. So generational wealth can help families to move up
Mm-hmm.
the social ladder. It
Yep.
can lead to better educational, housing, and job opportunities.
Yeah.
Not only that, reduce stress. The financial security that comes with generational wealth can help families reduce stress,
Mm-hmm.
which is rampant in the Black community. Uh, if you count in heart disease and stroke and all of those
Mm-hmm.
other ailments, generational wealth can lead to improved health and well being. Also, greater happiness. Studies have shown that people who have generational wealth are
Oh, sorry, listening.
happier than those who do not. This
Mhm.
is likely due to the increased security, opportunity, and social mobility that comes with wealth. Of course, it does.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's so true. That's so true. And in particular, I think of like single family households. And it's definitely harder when you think about even being able to create generational wealth. You have to work 10 times as hard for your, not only for to provide for your family, but then also to try to have something for them to have when you pass along, or even trying to figure out what's going to happen to you if you aren't able to come up with your 2.5 million you need for retirement. That's a tough, pill to swallow. And yeah.
This makes me think of struggle love.
Hmm.
Your son or your daughter getting into a marriage with one of her peers of the
Hmm.
same age, a husband of her same age, who both do not have any type of generational wealth. They're going through a lot of stress. They buy a house, they have a child, they're
Hmm.
going through a lot of stress of paying bills. Most of their arguments is probably about finance. So
Hmm.
that eliminates that.
Yes. Yeah. You set it up for your children to have better relationships.
Hmm.
That is so true. Really do. And because, again, you're passing along not only that knowledge when you have decided to take on that discipline that it requires when you're within a relationship, or even that improvement that you have to constantly make on yourself as a person just to, be in a good relationship. That knowledge your children will really pick up on. That's really beneficial, especially when it comes to them being able to do the same.
Right. So you just basically write all that off for the business. No, I'm
Exactly.
serious.
No, exactly. That is so true. So I think this modern society really has to stop allowing fear to dictate their choices. Statistically, it is shown that marriage is super valuable. And sure, for those who cannot afford it, it's not the best solution to go in. We're going to talk about some great things tomorrow. I can't wait for tomorrow's show too. But women in particular, I think there are plenty of high value men who understand the value of marriage. That is a complete understatement. There are disciplined men, alpha men, that don't fear marriage or divorce or any of that stigma behind it, and they actually understand the value in it. Psychologically, there are so many benefits to actually being able to have a successful marriage, be in a successful relationship. And studies have shown that time and time again. It's certainly important when you're thinking about having kids and having a legacy. And that is something high value alpha men really do care about, having that legacy. So as a woman, you really want to be able to be prepared to be a great support system and play your role. And what better way to do that is wifeconomics.com. We have a great program set up that will really help you to be able to align to what it means to being a divine wife who offers more and never less than her divine purpose of being a great support system and coming together with the man to create a beautiful, beautiful life. So, if this is something that you value just as much as a high value man definitely does, because with his hard work, he's going to want a legacy. And in more particular, when men, studies have shown men are still getting married, they're just working harder to make sure that they are prepared for marriage, which is super important. And at the same time, women have to do the same too. So prepare yourself and knowing what it means to enter into a marriage and the structure and what it will take for you. And really being able to set yourself up so that you're comfortable in this role and really equipped to do so for a lifetime.
Well said.
Yeah. You want to hit on men? I didn't hit on men a little bit, but tomorrow I know we're going to talk about that mainly tomorrow.
Well, I mean, I really don't have anything to contribute
Yeah.
to that.
That's
But it's just that, like we've been saying before, marriage statistics, everyone's marrying at the age of 30. Marriage is the statistics do show that marriage is on a decline. I can't
mm-hmm.
argue against that. But because it is more so calculated as opposed to a
Mhm.
emotional decision. People are being more cautious of getting married today, and there's nothing wrong with that
Mm-mm.
because you're looking for the best outcome. You want to marry so that you are able to provide men, provide provide to a woman to have a successful family. So that is what's going on today. A lot of men are getting married, but it is more calculated as opposed to an emotional decision,
Mhm.
like things of the past before we had knowledge of what it takes to actually be in a marriage, how to sustain a marriage, and for that marriage to be fruitful.
Mhm.
So with that being said, we're going to talk more about that, like my wife said, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that men are getting married, but times look, because of the financial situation of today's times, things are different. So we're going
Mhm.
to talk about those things tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, men are. They really are. Because you look around, even like when I think about like your friends that are high value, they are looking for wives, like actively, but they're at the same time a little off puttish because, again, they want to be prepared and they want a woman who is fully prepared and ready to take on such a big feat because it is being in a marriage is work. Being in a marriage does require a lot. And I think now I don't know how many people are actually built for the work that requires of healing yourself, going in and doing that work of figuring out how you can be the best version of yourself. That really requires selflessness, and that's what comes into a relationship that only you can really get from a relationship, sharing a space with another person. Statistically, marriage is great for both the man and the woman when it comes to bettering themselves and acquiring more wealth,
Mm.
acquiring more success, acquiring better health, acquiring happiness. All of that, having a good companion is super important to that. And now more than ever, it's a lot of information out about how to make sure that you're choosing the right spouse, how to vet for the right spouse. It's no reason to give so much into fear and just be like, oh, I'm never going to do this. And that's such an outdated belief. It's not. Sure, having a legal contract is something that may be like shunned upon. People are a little scared of the legalities of stuff. But again, that just shows the commitment and the structure and the discipline. I mean, it's just kind of part of the game that you play and you acknowledge it and you protect yourself, both the man and the woman, by doing the things you need to do to put yourself in a good position to make the best educated decision and to also be the best choice for the person who you're about to get with, because that's what you really want, to be the best person that you can be.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know why people are not getting married. Is the problem is this is the economy, um and the average salary. They don't match.
Yeah.
Times just doesn't match. it, the current economy and the amount of money people make equals struggle, and people are deciding to struggle alone
Hmm.
instead of struggling with someone else because of failed boyfriend and girlfriend relationships. I get it.
Fear,
I get
hurt.
it. But no, but more so men are deciding to wait wait until their 30s to get married where they're more established.
Yeah.
They want to buy their homes first. Problem is that homes are so expensive.
Yeah.
So when you think you actually got that salary in order to afford that family and build that family, you realize that, hey, I'm back to living paycheck to paycheck. I get it. I understand that, but there's still ways in order to navigate this current economy and this in your career field as well.
Yeah.
But it takes you to want to do that job and do that work. It is hard work. Raising a family or just being in a relationship with someone else, it takes hard work starting off. But God blesses you along the way
Hmm.
if you remain righteous in your cause.
Yeah.
He does. But you just have to make smart decisions about what you're doing and who you're doing it with.
Yeah.
Meaning, raising your family, and the wife, I'm speaking to the men about what type of wife you choose and what type of qualities she exude
Mhm.
as well. She has to be a willing participant in order to be of service to you and your family. And you need to be the provider and protector in order to give her the comfortability and the peace of mind that she will be there for you. And then
Yeah.
everything will, turn into, everything will work out.
Yeah.
But we do live in different times. We just have to pivot, adjust, and adapt to what's going on, because this is not our parents' economy that they
No.
were
Yeah.
raised in or they enjoyed, during in their 20s or 30s. This is our grandparents' economy either.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Times change, but we have to keep up with the times.
Yeah.
And
Certainly.
but we're going to talk more about that tomorrow.
Yeah, but I do want to say that even though times have changed, that doesn't mean you've run away from what has statistically and always shown to be one of the most successful parts of life, and that's coming together and having a family. And God really does bless you during that. So even though I think about us, when I think about when we were young and we went through a type of struggle love, because hey, we were young when we got together, but during that simple commitment that we made to each other and saying like, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to go into it fearlessly and take on whatever comes our way, we were blessed by that. It was times where out of nowhere, something would happen and we'd be like, whoo, like, thank God, like, that
Right.
always happened for us. And that shown through just that, making that commitment and
Right.
choosing to do that.
Right. Yeah, but I'm all about the best outcome
Yeah, true.
and strategically planning. That's what I'm about.
Yeah.
I'm not for the struggle love. I'm
Right.
totally
Right.
against it.
Right. Because even though we did it, it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it causes you will endure a lot of arguing, a lot of hardship and relationship testing,
Yeah.
relationship competitions. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
Because you
I,
grow up.
right. As society, you think of, life in general and things that's going on around you. What do you see? You see people, they're delaying retirement. You know,
Yeah.
look at France. They recently raised their retirement age from 62 to 64. And these
Right.
people,
Yeah.
all hell broke loose. They said, the hell with the extra 2 years for me to retire.
Yeah.
You have to delay gratification. That's what life is all becoming,
Yeah.
delaying gratification. And that's what's going on with the times. Like I said earlier, people, men and women, are marrying in their 30s on up. No longer are people marrying when they're 21, 22,
Mm-hmm.
20.
Yeah.
It's not a good start.
Yeah.
But
It
by all
isn't. Yeah.
means, that the strategy has changed on creating and maintaining a successful family.
Yeah.
That has a lot to do with your relationship success. It does, because I'm not for, that struggle love.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work out. But for men and women, there are different strategies in order to raise a family and get married that will
Yeah.
benefit you. We just have to pay attention to those signs and what they look like, adapt and understand that, hey, okay, all right, I can't, women, young women, y'all can't marry men that are around your same age if you want to, live comfortably financially starting off. And then also, guys, you can't start getting married in your early 20s and think that, you know
Create generational wealth.
yeah, you're going to create generational wealth by, working a minimum wage job or making an average salary. You have to
Yeah.
really build this economy and this time that we living in. We really have to build ourselves up as
Mm-hmm.
men. It takes that effort. Unfortunately, we don't know what that looks like.
Well,
Y-
I think
you
now more
know,
than ever, though, it's a lot of men that are stepping up and showing what that looks like. But what
but
you
not on
don't see,
average.
yeah, but really, too, what you also don't see, though, is a lot of married men. Like, actually, statistically, successful men are usually married.
Right.
Shown. So, but what we kind of don't see, I guess, is like, I mean, in the from the outskirts, you can see like, oh, this man married this woman at this time, sure, but you don't really see like the inner workings of like how to keep that going and like sustain that throughout generations that much, because it's not so prevalent within everybody's household, as it is now. Now more people are growing up in single family households, so they're so worried about just hustling for themselves because that's what
They're
they're
just trying to
used to. Yeah,
survive.
trying to survive. Yep, that's just what they see. Yeah,
Right. So
unfortunately.
so if you take this what we talked about today and try to apply it to the generation before us. Say for instance, is if our parents had businesses, viable business on average,
Yeah,
if the black community had parents that had businesses, you would see less people trying to survive today.
yeah,
That's what we're talking about. So, but what does it take? It takes a solid family.
yeah,
It takes that graphic that we showed you all earlier of the father, the mother, and the children working together in this family business, and then the extended family supporting that business.
yeah.
That's what it takes. So we're trying to break that cycle of
Poverty.
struggle,
Yeah,
poverty, living in low income situations. Unfortunately, that these things will always be there. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is create families, viable families that can operate and work together and then ensure that success of the future generations moving forward. And
yeah,
what better way to do that than to believe in the institution of family business?
yeah. Which is marriage and the generational wealth that you pass on, like we've talked about, with that being knowledge, assets, all of that, passing that on throughout time. Because why else, single people, do you work so hard? Why else, men, do y'all work so hard? Women, do y'all work so hard for, if you're not going to really pass this along or share it with somebody and carry it on? And I know people say, oh, I'm happy by myself and all this other great stuff. Like, but again, at the end of the day, all that great happiness that you obtain throughout your life is just going to die with you if you don't invest it in a family and actually have that legacy lead on. And men are doing a great job, I think, at still choosing to get married when they're ready and preparing more than ever. And now women, I think, is now more than ever that we all come together and show the future generations how these women can be wives that are supporting men and helping create these beautiful families. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just actually coming out and being examples for women to see. I think our generation lacks that more than ever. And I think that's probably what's wrong. We didn't even mention that, but with the dating scene in particular, and like men delaying marriage and stuff like that. When men have obtained a certain level of success, I think their options greatly increase of
Right. Yeah.
the
I mean,
type of woman they can choose.
women want what? What do women want? When you're dating somebody, what do you look for in a husband?
Yeah,
Money. Bottom line, money.
that provider and protector.
Why is
It's
that?
the
Why
default.
is that
Yeah.
so bad? It's not. It's not. And then I explained this to someone before is that 100 years ago, women looked for a man with a gun and a sword,
Hmm.
so that she can feel protected, and then also that man can hunt and eat. They can eat. So that none of this has changed. Women look for survival, and that's natural. They're looking for a provider and a protector. The problem is, on average, men are not providers or protectors in today's society. That's just the bottom line. And that's the reason why people are marrying later, because this has been going on for so long.
Yeah.
And then, like we were saying today, we have family businesses to sustain wealth, the marriage rates will be a lot more higher than they
Yeah.
are declining. Well, I think since the 60s, marriage rates used to be 70%. Now it's at 30%. That is the reason why, maintaining wealth overall for the future will increase those marriage rates.
Hmm.
They will. They will.
Yeah, of course. Because you think of a man, the number one reason why a man wants to get married is for the legacy. And, a man should feel pride in being able to see the fruits of his labor being benefited, not only from his wife, his children, but also his grandchildren and his great grandchildren, if possible. That is a hardworking man, and it shows greatly. And it should be appreciated and valued. And that's one thing that women really have to step back into that. And I think now more than ever, with the economic downturn in a way, women are really seeing even more how, yeah, we need to get it together and come with the man. I think all men and women are going to even more than ever see that more than ever, because like we said, it's updated statistics, 2.5 million that you actually need to retire on. So hey, that's way more than what we thought if we're trying to keep up with rate and inflation, and it looks better if you can build together. It's if everybody can just take the time to heal themselves and have these conversations and do that inner work that it really requires, and really think about something more than yourself. I think our generation coming out of trauma has become so selfish, mainly to protect ourselves. And I get it, I understand. But at what point are you able to heal yourself and really see love beyond yourself? Because that's true love. That's real, genuine love. And the fulfillment that you get from that is beyond anything that you can even imagine. The maturity, the person that you have to become when you decide to step up and love beyond yourself, it just affords you a life that you can't possibly imagine with the limited selfish mindset. So yeah, we'll get more into that though tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's the show that we have for you all tonight. Thank you all, Blueprint family, for joining us.
We got an Instagram viewer. What's up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. And this is a live call show, so don't forget, you can chat with us live. If you have any questions, you can please interrupt us, and we'll be more than glad to
Comments, concerns,
help you with that. So any
Yeah.
comments or concerns that you would like to share with us, please do so. Until next time, Blueprint family, you all have a good night. Peace.